How's it going, everybody? Welcome in to a special edition of the Mavs Step Back Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Trigg. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Drew Johnson. You can find both of us on X at Dalton_Trigg and at Coach Drew 33. It's here, the day we've been waiting for, the 2025 NBA Draft. We are just about 20 minutes away, probably more like 25 minutes away from the draft getting underway, and the Mavs have the number one overall pick, and they are going to take Cooper Flag. So very exciting stuff. We have a couple of special guests from Mavs film room. Our guy Jay and Vinay are going to be here to talk about the draft stuff and Cooper Flag as that pick is made live. And we're going to, be able to give our thoughts on the pick and anything else that might happen later in this draft, because the rumors are swirling that the Mavs are trying to get back into the first round. We've personally heard that they love Walter Clayton Jr. Walter Clayton Jr. apparently has a promise from the Miami Heat, who have the number 20 pick. So, we'll have to see what happens with that. The Mavs would have to, jump the Heat, it looks like, if they wanted to get Walter Clayton Jr. So we'll see how it goes. The Brooklyn Nets are an interesting team to keep an eye on there, because they have 5 first-round picks, and they have that number 19 pick right in front of Miami. But there's some other trade options there too, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But before we get into the draft stuff, and like I said, we've got about 20 minutes before it goes live, and then I'll pull up our playback feed to where everybody can watch along with us as we react to it. But before that, DJ, we have some news to get to that's happened this past week. A couple of big extensions for the Mavs. We'll start with the most recent one. Yesterday, Kyrie Irving, he decided to decline his player option of around $44 million for next season, and he intends to sign a 3-year, $119 million contract extension with the Mavs. So he's opting out. He's taking that extension, which is, a little bit of a haircut. He's taking a discount, which is going to enable the Mavs to use their full taxpayer MLE to go chase another point guard on the market. But just overall, it's great to see Kyrie is going to be sticking around. He deserves it. I know, people have different opinions on Kyrie, mostly from the outside, but as we've seen over the last couple of years, the guy is just fantastic on and off the court. And I mean, I love the guy. He's automatically, one of my top 5 Mavericks of all time already, and he has a chance to build on that legacy going forward. So super excited about that. What were your, initial thoughts seeing Kyrie sign that extension as his deadline for that player option was coming to the end there?
If you're a Mavs fan and you don't think that Kyrie Irving doesn't deserve to be extended, you're not a Mavs fan. I'm just going to be honest with you. Just based off of what all he's done, especially in that finals run. But really his commitment to the city of Dallas has been spectacular. He balled in from the second he got here. He didn't big time the Mavs just because we're a quote unquote, I wouldn't even say we're a small market team, but people don't really think of us as a huge market, But he didn't big time us or anything. He's always balled in. So, I'd love to see him retire a Maverick if possible. But I'll tell you this, the way he did it, he's freed up a pretty good chunk of change for us to work with. And I'll let you carry on with that. But he opened some doors for us that had he extended it, it would have we wouldn't have been near as flexible.
Yeah, if he had opted in and not extended, or even opted in and then extended, he would have been making $44 million this upcoming season. Since he didn't do that, since he opted out and re-signed, this first year of his salary is going to be in like the mid-30s instead. So, about a $7 million difference for this first, season of the contract versus what it would have been if he had opted in. So, that saves the Mavs about $7 million there, which gets them below the second apron. And, like I said, they're going to be able to use that full taxpayer MLE, which is around a little over $5 million. But, given the point guard situation with Kyrie going to be out until probably around January, it's a pretty big deal because, and look, some of the names that have been floated out there for the Mavs with that, the taxpayer MLE, D'Angelo Russell, Chris Paul, who was the other one?
Malcolm Brogdon.
There was one more I can't think of. I'm sure Tyus Jones might be thrown in the mix there because
I don't think his name was on that.
He wasn't officially mentioned, but I could see him being a guy that shows up on that because he played for Phoenix on the vet minimum last year.
I wouldn't hate Tyus Jones. I would.
He doesn't really fit what what the current Mavs management typically looks for in players they trade for, but he could be an option, and it would be a pay raise from what he made last year. But anyway, I know people have different opinions on those players, and they're like, especially D'Angelo Russell, because Mark Stein reported that the Mavs are basically one of the favorites to get him. My thing, DJ, is I feel like the expectations shouldn't be high for that in the first place because, it's a tough situation. The Mavs just need guard depth.
Mm-hmm.
They just need guard depth, and you're not going to get a full-time starting all-star caliber type of point guard with that type of money to throw at it. So you look at it that way. The way I'm looking at it is D'Angelo Russell would be an upgrade from Spencer Dinwiddie. That's the way I look at it. Is D'Angelo Russell perfect? No. Is he very frustrating at times? Yes. He's very volatile, just like Spencer Dinwiddie, just like Tim Hardaway Jr. was. But he's better than those players, in my opinion. So,
he is.
I think if you're bridging the gap from now until when Kyrie comes back, you could do a lot worse with that taxpayer MLE than bringing in D'Angelo Russell. Now, we'll see what happens, though. That's just one way the Mavs can add guard depth. We've had rumors about Colin Sexton, who's on an expiring contract in Utah. So, there's different ways the Mavs can address this. It's not set in stone, I don't think, that D'Angelo Russell is going to be a Mav. But, what do you think about the the options the Mavs are trying to sift through here and kind of bridge the gap until Kyrie's back?
No, I don't really hate any of them, honestly, because the way that I'm looking at things, if we're able to trade back into the first round, well, I wouldn't say back into the first round, but get another first-round pick to select Walter Clayton Jr., we really just need someone to split minutes with him, just so he isn't overly, overwhelmed. So I don't necessarily hate any of the options. I think Brogdon's probably the best defender on the list. Offensively, he leaves something to be desired, but Brogdon's probably your best defender. Sexton is up there, but I think we would have to actually trade something for Sexton. I don't know what that would entail. Russell will give you scoring, albeit not overly efficient scoring. And I don't know if he really fits into Dallas's defense wins championships mentality. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who they bring in. I'm a fan of bringing in Dennis Smith Jr., honestly.
I am too.
But I think that he really fills that role well just because of the expectations that he would probably be coming in with. I think he would come in with the personal expectation of, I'm probably going to have to help mentor this younger guy that's coming in, right? So I think that Dennis Smith would be more accepting of the role that this person is going to be playing rather than what D'Lo would be, especially D'Lo. I could see D'Lo actually causing some issues in the locker room because of him not accepting that role. honestly.
Yeah, and I know from a fact, because I mean, I talk to Dennis every now and then, and he's one that told me that the workout and the interview with the Mavs went great. They're planning on bringing him back later this summer to practice with the guys, do open runs and all that. But also, and I mean, he's told me this personally, like he is willing to accept whatever role the Mavs need him to do. He's not trying to overextend himself. He's not trying to be something that he's not. He knows he's going to be a plug and play guy, nitty gritty, do the hard defensive work, some point of attack type stuff. And then, he can distribute the ball a little bit. So I'm with you. Like that's the right mindset the Mavs need from a guy that they're bringing in to fill this void, because like you said, when Kyrie comes back, things are going to change. So, now Chris Paul, on the other hand, that's one, like he's a very good distributor still, even at his advanced age. But the offense, he's kind of over the hill a little bit. So I don't think, I mean, maybe the Mavs don't need that. You know what I mean? Maybe they don't need him to be, scoring 8 to 10 points a game. But I think he's past that point now. I do think he could be a very good guy to, organize things on offense. And we saw what he did in San Antonio. The San Antonio wasn't good last year, but you could see the development of Wemby and, other guys on that team as the year went along. And I think that, some of that had to be credited to Chris Paul. So, it's not my favorite option, but it is an option. And I think, I think the Mavs could do much worse than those options they're going to have with that taxpayer MLE.
Oh, for sure.
All right. So, okay, we have a little bit of time remaining until the draft actually starts. We're going to go ahead and bring on our guys, Jay and Vinay from Mavs Step Back. Listen to me, Mavs Step Back. It's from Mavs Film Room. If I can get this thing, let's see. There they are. How y'all doing? Can you hear me?
We can. Can you hear us?
I can hear you, Jay.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yep. Hey, did I butcher your name?
No, you got it right, which is a great thing for most people.
All right, Jay helped me out on that, so I was making sure I got it right. And again, it's Mavs Film Room, not me. You're watching. Yes. You're watching Mavs Step Back right now. But anyway, it's Mavs Film Room. So guys, what's up, Jay? We'll start with you. I mean, how you doing, man? This is like a long time coming.
It is a long time coming for many reasons. Long time coming, joining you guys on the pod, but also long time since the lottery on May 12th. We're finally here on draft night, so excited to be here.
Yeah, this is surreal. Like we almost all need therapy based on the trauma that has happened over the last several months. What a swing of emotions from one thing to the other. But I mean, I can't believe that the basketball gods have smiled on the Mavs after everything that went on, and now we get Cooper Flag and get to start a new era. So it's pretty awesome. But Vinay, how you doing?
Special day for all of us. I mean, whatever happened on February 1st, we can talk about for the end of time. But I'm not saying today makes up for it, but we all deserve this. And I think Cooper's going to be amazing. I think he's going to be good rookie year. And we all deserve this and everything that's going to come with this journey.
That's what I've been telling everybody for the last however long it's been. It's been over a month since the Mavs won the lottery. But that's what I've been saying on repeat is – certain people may not deserve, getting the number one pick and Cooper Flag, certain, Mavs management, but we all do. I mean, we've been through the ringer, and not even since the trade, like going back to the finals last year. What a crazy 12 months this has been from start to finish. It's unbelievable. But anyway, guys, what we were talking about, we were kind of touching on the Kyrie extension and how he took the haircut. So the Mavs are able to add another point guard with that taxpayer MLE. And, we've had some mixed opinions on Mavs Twitter about certain guys, most importantly, D'Angelo Russell, who the Mavs are apparently favored to sign. But I was kind of saying that, you can't be too picky with that type of money. And the Mavs, given their guard depth, I think anybody helps at this point. I thought D'Lo would be a upgrade over Spencer Dinwiddie at the very least. But any of those guys that the Mavs were tied to would probably be an upgrade. But Jay, we'll start with you. I mean, what do you think about the Kyrie extension, and B, the options they have to fill the point guard void, even if it's not with that taxpayer MLE, maybe it's the draft.
Well, yeah, it's starting with the Kyrie extension. I think it was a great deal for both sides, especially the Mavericks. I would say, as we all know, Mavericks were entering this summer. Now, when they signed Cooper Flag, they would likely be a couple million over the second apron. So this deal is a huge win for them in that, I think 39, 40 million on average to Kyrie Irving at this stage coming off the ACL injury. There's a little bit of uncertainty about what he'll look like after that. I think that's a fair deal for both sides. And of course, it unlocks a lot more financial flexibility for the Mavericks. I think, obviously they're going to need a point guard when he's out. But even when he comes back, I still think that's a pretty big position of need right now, because the only two real guards on the roster under contract are him and Brandon Williams. And I guess Jaden Hardy too, but that's not the strongest backcourt in the league. And so
for now,
for now, we don't know what's going to happen tonight.
Yeah.
Free agency's in a week too. So D'Angelo Russell, I said this on my personal Twitter, but I've always been probably a bigger fan of him than most people. I understand the frustration with him, and I understand he comes with a certain reputation for a reason, but he's a guy in my eyes that can play as a starter. He's also come off the bench. He's a guy who's capable of giving you 20, 25 on any given night. And also, like, if you need to bench him, he's a guy who's also been there too. He's used to being benched. And so I think for the money that you'd be signing him for, likely a 1-year deal at $5.7 million, it's like, why not? There's not many like good players you can get, with that salary. So I feel like he's one of the better ones they could, have in that slot.
Yeah, I mean, there's, and again, I think people get their expectations a little bit too high, because it's like, you see D'Angelo Russell in it. And look, let's be honest. If you look before this past season, he's been fairly efficient, like with his 3-point shooting and everything. I mean, he averages like 5 assists a game. I mean, it's not terrible. But, people just think, a new starting point guard. But you have to go into it with the mindset that this is temporary. This is a guy who's going to be a backup when Kyrie gets back. He's probably not going to be playing, but maybe, 15 minutes a game when Kyrie does come back. So that's the lens you have to look at it through. And I think that'll, make people be more at ease with whatever happens. So, Vinay, I'm going to
him playing for the. Sorry, go.
No, you good.
I was going to say, I think him playing for the Lakers also kind of negatively skewed people's perceptions of him, just because of the spotlight that comes for playing with the Lakers. But I think the Mavericks have proven to get the most out of a lot of guys that may not have had the strongest stints in other teams. I think Christian Wood, JaVale McGee, those are probably the only two players that they haven't been successful doing in recent years.
Yeah, that Lakers perception is crazy for certain guys. Like even Russell Westbrook, for example. Now look, Russell Westbrook isn't the guy he used to be, but man, he got drugged through the mud when he was in LA. And then, he got out of there and went to Denver, and he was pretty solid for Denver last year. Yep. And the Clippers after that, he wasn't bad for the Clippers either, after that Lakers stint, I believe. So well, look, there was another extension earlier in the week. Daniel Gafford. If there's one thing that is for sure for this Mavs team heading into next year, is that the front court is not going to be a question. The front court is going to be stacked. You've got Anthony Davis, Derek Lively. You've now got Cooper Flag. As of right now, you still have P.J. Washington, even though he's on an expiring contract. And you have Daniel Gafford, who is on an expiring. He agreed to a new 3-year deal worth about, it was $54 million is the number that officially got announced. Shams was saying near 60, but I don't know. Numbers wise, that kind of messes with me because it's closer to 50 than 60. But anyway, Daniel Gafford here for the long haul, another guy who definitely earned that extension. He's been a hoss for the Mavs for, since they got him from Washington, and he's a good guy to have on your roster. Even if he's not like a big playoff performer, he's a guy that can win you games against bad teams during the season to get you, more wins and a better playoff standing. So he's an important guy to have, and especially when you have injury concerns with Derek Lively and Anthony Davis. So, Vinay, I'm swinging it to you. What were your initial thoughts? And then we'll go to DJ again. What were your initial thoughts on the Gafford extension and, the seemingly a discount that he took, because he probably could have gotten more next summer as an unrestricted free agent.
Yeah, I was definitely surprised to see it in a good way. I was kind of expecting, along with a lot of other Mavs fans, that Gafford was going to be on the trade block as the Mavericks tried to look to upgrade their guard rotation. But it's way better than losing him for free and unrestricted free agency. So when you can extend a good player before you do that, you always do that. I definitely think the Mavericks structured it with the salary in a specific way to make him eligible to be traded over the next 6 months for a reason too. So
True. Yeah.
I don't think the story is necessarily done. I love Gafford as a player. I honestly give him more credit as a playoff performer. Just like even watching the finals, like I think Indiana could have used Daniel Gafford in their rotation badly. Like they were using Tony Bradley, who was a 10-day this year, and Miles Turner honestly probably should have been benched in the finals at different times. So I think Gafford has value to even playoff teams, even though he wasn't like the best. And there's definitely like a drop off between him and Lively when you get to the 16-game season. But I think he holds more value than just throwing him in different trades for et cetera guard here and there. So I was pleased with the signing.
Yeah, I mean, anytime a guy is on a 3 or 4 year long-term contract versus expiring, he's naturally going to have more value, and that was part of it. And look, and DJ, I'll swing this one to you. Well, hold on. Actually, I lost track of time. I'm going to pull up this live feed of the draft, and I'm not going to put the sound on yet, but we'll at least have it on here because we're starting to get going here. But before we do that, DJ, I got to ask you this because I mentioned it in a group chat earlier. You remember back during the 2022 season, the Mavs offered Dorian Finney-Smith an extension that was, similar to something that Gafford signed now. And then when it all came out in the wash, we found out that they offered that same extension to Jalen Brunson, but it was too late. He didn't sign it. And then next thing you know, they're losing Jalen Brunson. I'm wondering, because the max extension that the Mavs could offer PJ Washington right now would be 4 years, $89 million, I think was the exact number. And I don't see them offering that. I'm wondering, because it would be very on par for this management group if they offered PJ Washington the same contract that they did Daniel Gafford, just to see if he'd take it. And maybe he didn't take it. Maybe that's why we don't have any news on a PJ Washington extension so far, which would lead me to the next thing, which is, is PJ Washington going to get traded? So, I mean, what are your thoughts on, PJ Washington and his contract situation as we go further into the summer?
Well, do you want to know what I hope or what I think?
What do you
hope? What I hope is that we're keeping PJ Washington, because we don't make the finals 2 years ago without PJ Washington. Granted, completely different situation, completely different set of personnel. The big one being Luka, but he was a centerpiece on a team that made the finals. So that makes him incredibly valuable in my eyes. What I think is going to happen is he's probably going to get packaged tonight in some regard. That's what I think is going to happen.
That'd be a crazy prediction if that happens, because there's a lot of stuff that have been kind of bouncing. I've been bouncing off the walls of my brain, for the for the last couple of hours. I don't know if I thought PJ would get traded tonight. We'll see what happens, but Jay, we'll swing it back to you. I mean, what are your thoughts on PJ not being extended yet, and what could happen, as this night goes on and the rest of the summer?
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting question. I never thought that the Mavericks would trade PJ Washington, but after the Gafford extension, and it looks like Adam Silver's coming to the podium now.
Yeah, here, let's
Boo.
let's see if I can get this on.
Good evening, and welcome to the 2025 NBA Draft. From big cities to small towns,
Let's do it.
basketball is played and followed everywhere. And during the finals, the very best basketball was played in the heartland of America.
And the Mavs have traded the number 1 pick for Giannis.
In a city of 700,000, turned out in Oklahoma City for the Thunder's championship parade. That was yet
Boo.
another example
Who
of how
cares?
can evoke enormous passion and bring people together. The Thunder were the second youngest championship team in NBA history.
Bro, we do not care.
Did David Stern used to do this?
I think he kept it more succinct.
Years ago,
It's like, dude, the NBA account has been glazing so hard over the last few days. We don't need more of it.
I know.
Stage as the 11th pick in the draft. He and his teammates spent.
By the way, guys, while we're waiting for him to get through this word salad, what you're seeing on the screen here is our Mavs Step Back playback channel. So during the season, we'll live stream games, and there's a little chat over there that you can join and talk during games. And we even have a stage that we can come on, just like you're seeing here on our StreamYard feed. So find us on the playback app and follow us there, and then you'll get a notification every time we go live. It's a fun time.
The 2025 NBA Draft belongs to the Dallas Mavericks, who have 5 minutes to make their selection.
The quickest.
I think sometimes the leagues make them do the whole clock gimmick. So I wonder if the league makes them do the.
Yeah, they may punish the Mavs and make them take every second of the 5 minutes, since they leaked that Cooper flag thing on their website.
Knowing Nico Harrison, he might take 77 seconds to make this pick. Just to.
Oh my God!
hey, we gotta see if it actually. That would be hilarious.
What were we at? 50 seconds right now.
13 more seconds. Let's see.
Team needs.
How did they start?
In health.
They started this video reel with Luka walking in with the cowboy hat. That was tough.
Oh my God.
No, I didn't do it. Okay. Oh man, I can't believe this is happening. Like I just can't.
It was a joke for the longest time. Like, oh, what if the Mavericks won the lottery after trading Luka, and then it fucking happened. Sorry, don't know if we're allowed to curse, but like,
no,
it happened.
you can do whatever you want to. This is a good time.
I still cannot believe it happened.
Man, this is look. I joked about it. Look, like deep
Consistency of discipline's killing me.
Look at them all. They're all clapping like in sync.
Look, deep down, I thought the Mavs were due some good lottery luck because they had never moved up ever. But I never actually envisioned this happening. This is crazy. In this draft,
that's my biggest offense to people saying it's rigged, is that we were due to move up after all these years.
I mean, it's been 45 years they'd never moved up in their franchise history. Like, it was going to happen eventually.
If they were going to rig the lottery, they should have given us Wemby that 1 year.
And y'all remember in the 90s, when they had the number 1 odds 2 years in a row, and they moved down to like 3rd and 4th in consecutive years. Like,
yeah, I know.
Just the worst.
Even the Michael Jordan draft, I think. Actually, I don't remember what pick they had in that draft, but I think they had to pick right after the Bulls picked Michael Jordan.
They did.
Yeah,
they did. It's crazy.
But we were slated, like we were predicted to get that pick or the pick before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they moved down again.
Uh-huh.
Damn, that's crazy.
Y'all saw that thing where Cooper Flagg said he wasn't a fan of the main event nickname.
Yeah,
Damn.
I was
That's a
saw that.
shame. I
I
love
was
that.
thinking that's
love that
good
nickname.
because maybe they won't DMCA me and DJ's
I don't care what they do. They just better not take full mast.
full match is a good one. Once we
Ace
get
is
past
gonna-
this pick, I'm gonna
Ace is going to be on the Mavericks one day.
You think so?
He's going to play the Thanasis role here.
Oh,
What is it?
Ace Cooper, not Ace Bailey.
No, Ace Flag. No, sorry, Ace Flag.
Oh, sorry, Ace Flag.
I met
Ace Flag, sorry.
Cooper's brother. He's gonna
I
have
have
the
too many things
Thanasis
going
role
through my
here.
mind right now.
No, not Ace Bailey.
We just got a text from our guy Fossil, who's at the Mavs draft party right now, and he said that people have started Fire Nico chants there.
Oh man, just relentless.
I know.
I wonder how long into the season that's going to go. There's some pretty
think every-
committed people.
I think every time it's a home game and the Mavericks are about to lose, that's probably what's going to happen.
I think it depends on how good Cooper Flagg is early on. Like if he just comes out of the gates just blazing, like
That's true. I mean, yeah, in theory, like Cooper Flagg has a chance to basically become, not the same player as Luka, but the same type of figure within Dallas that Luka was. Like, the city revolves around him. I think he has a chance to be that for Dallas. And if he is, I think people will be able to move on a little bit faster.
How much do you think New Balance charges for that flag? $500?
yeah, probably. Hey, that's another selling point for our Mavs Step Back T-shirt store. Our T-shirts are $25. New Balance's T-shirts are $75. So
Crazy.
Plus, our mantras are way cooler. Flag Day,
come on,
we can do better, guys.
the pick is in.
No shit.
Oh, let me see. It's probably irresponsible of me to not have Twitter pulled up.
I'm not judging him at all, but I'm shocked that he kept the facial hair for the draft. I thought he was definitely shaving that.
I think he
I'm
looks
not
just
judging
too
him,
much like
not judging him,
a baby
obviously.
without the hair, honestly.
Yeah,
Maybe,
he
yeah.
looks like a 10th grader without facial hair.
That's fair.
Let's see.
Damn, that draft party had aura, though. They should go back to showing
All right, I have Twitter pulled up, but I'm also
There we
looking
go.
at this screen.
Don't you dare trade this, Nico.
25 NBA draft. The Dallas Mavericks select Cooper Flagg.
There we go. Cooper Flagg.
A new era. A new era. The worst kept secret for the last month and a half.
Let's see how fast the Mavs social media team unloads that post.
Yeah, I'm curious to see if they changed it any or if it's the exact
Oh
same
wow!
one.
I think instantaneously, Mavs PRs, the Dallas Mavericks announced today that they've selected forward Cooper Flagg from Duke University with the first overall pick in the 2025 NBA draft.
Let's go. He's gonna be good, fellas. He's gonna be good. He's
He is.
the funniest nickname I've seen for him yet is White Claw.
I've
That's funny.
That's good. I don't know. I haven't heard that one yet. That's a good one.
that's a good one.
White Claw.
White Claw.
I love our hats this year.
Yeah, they're clean. Dalton,
Yeah.
you got one, right?
I did. I got one. I should have worn it. I'm glad that he doesn't have to wear another team's hat like
Yeah.
Luka had to.
Or Derek
I know.
Lively. He had to wear Lively had to wear the Thunder hat for
That's
his.
right. Oh
Yeah.
man, that's rough.
Dumbest thing the NBA does. I guess they have to, but free agency should be before the draft, I think. But
Or
that's a different
I feel like
discussion.
for certain trades you could approve the draft pick swap before the full deal becomes official. Like
You would think.
yeah. They got to figure that out.
Well, look,
But not a problem for us.
me and DJ were talking about this on one of our previous pods over the last month, but our guy Panda Hank, who's a legend. He does a lot of good work with highlight videos and comparing guys to players to other players and everything. And he had one with Cooper Flag. And DJ, who it was several. It was Scottie Pippen and who else, or was that it?
So the big one was Scottie Pippen. I think there was a little bit of Kawhi Leonard in there, which I liked. Yeah, I think those were the big two.
But anyway, our main takeaway from that is like, look how physically gifted this guy is now, and how he already looks like those guys. And the Scottie Pippen and Kawhi Leonard stuff, that was when they're in their prime, and this guy is already, looking like that with how he plays. So that's super encouraging. I'm so excited. We deserve this.
When Pippen was playing NAIA ball, he did not look like that.
That's right.
Did not look like that, and neither did Kawhi. Whenever he was at San Diego State, neither of those guys looked like this at 19.
Yeah, Kawhi was a project coming into the draft.
That's right.
Yeah, he had to be developed.
I mean, there's a reason Cooper Flag is regarded as this generational prospect. Like, I think for me, it's like you watch him against the players at Team USA camp last year. And looks like he's being interviewed right now.
Let's see what he has to say.
We got the flag vibe here. How much have these people meant in getting you here?
I mean, I wouldn't be here without these people right here and all my people back home in Maine. 5 people up in that box up there. They're here for me, and I wouldn't be here without them.
Second youngest number 1 overall pick.
Mom, Kelly, Dad, Ralph are here. But when you put the ball in your son's hand, what did you hope to instill to him that a night like this might come true?
I just hope that he loved the game as much as we always have. And, we're just thrilled that he did love it, and he got to this moment. It's incredible.
All right, we've got the whole contingency here. We need to set the record straight, guys. Did Mom actually lose to Cooper in the last game?
No, it's not a loss. It was a timeout in the game. It's just been an extended timeout.
Okay, so that's the way it goes. I think it goes.
Okay, Mom.
Congratulations.
What are we talking about?
Cooper beating her in a basketball game, I think.
That's just exactly what I want to hear about my new player.
Duke knows a thing or two, Jay, about drafting players.
There you go.
1 overall.
Man, second youngest only to LeBron.
For the most by any school here as well.
Man, I forgot about Elton Brand.
Former Mavericks legend. Elton
No.
Brand.
John Shire, he says that the Cooper Flag is
All right, well, look.
the game.
We knew that was going to.
Boo. Boo.
Double boo.
Why does he have his phone out like that?
Probably taking a picture.
Oh my gosh, man.
All right, well, we knew how that was going to go.
Hey, number 32,
Oh.
we got it right, baby.
Oh, there we
Yeah.
go. The flag jersey right there.
That's fire. That's a good look. Good
That
job.
is a good look. Man, they showed out.
I know. Oh,
All
wow.
right.
People who already got flag jerseys in the stands over there.
Good news, Dalton. We don't have to change any of those graphics.
That's right. Shout out to the Mavs for leaking it like 2 weeks ago, I think, or however long it was. And it's like we kind of knew that's what number he'd be, but that confirmed it when the Mavs leaked that.
This is a random question. You guys probably addressed it, but are you guys keeping the step back name?
Yes, we are. We changed the logo obviously because we had Luca's silhouette, but we're gonna keep the name. We
Oh yeah.
it's been fine so far, and at the time it was technically true too, because we took a step back a lot. For a few months there, we didn't do anything for a few. DJ, we probably did like 1 or 2 pods a month for a good bit there.
It's called fan depression. Okay.
It was hard. I think Cooper Flag was a big blessing, not only for the Mavericks, but for a lot of content creators like ourselves. It was difficult to find things to talk about right after the trade for the next few months. Like
There was only one thing to talk about.
exactly, like we weren't trying to talk about Spencer Dinwiddie.
Well, you can tell, and I mean, it's still not where it was but you could tell after the lottery, like interest shot back up again. And
Oh yeah, for sure.
it was just it was a wasteland for a couple months there. Dylan Harper going number 2 to the Spurs, which is kind of what we all thought, but there was some rumors about them potentially trading the pick.
Oh, it ain't over yet.
This third pick, we'll probably go through the first 5 here, just kind of talking about different things, and then we'll take off.
Philadelphia.
Let's see. Yeah, Philadelphia. There's been a lot of rumors about them potentially trading that.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see.
I think a lot of teams saw the draft flag at 1 and then Harper at 2 and then drop off after that.
Yeah, this is where things get interesting.
All right, so let's talk about it. We knew how that was going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's been rumored the Mavs are trying to trade back into the first round. Are they going to do it?
That is a big question. I mean, there seems to be a lot of uncertainty with this draft. There seems to be uncertainty every year, and it underwhelms in terms of the movement that we expect to see. But I mean, Brooklyn has got 5 first-round picks, and you know they say like they're comfortable taking all 5, but like let's be real here.
Nah.
No team has ever selected 5 players in the first round. That's insane.
Well,
And another thing that I thought was interesting, and I think I'm remembering this right. If I'm wrong and y'all remember something else, feel free to correct me on this. But I feel like 2 of the teams, aside from the Mavs, who were interested in Omax in that 2023 draft were Brooklyn and Boston. Now, that's what I think I remember that being the case. So, I mean,
I know Boston for sure. I don't know about Brooklyn.
But
yeah, same.
If if they can sell themselves, if the Mavs can sell Brooklyn on Omax as a prospect, because he really hasn't played that much, and he's still young enough to where he has some potential and everything. But I wonder if they can get that 19th pick, jump ahead of Miami, who is reporting. The rumors with Miami is that they've given Walter Clayton Jr. a promise at that number 20 pick. And so I'm wondering if the Mavs could get that number 19 pick from Brooklyn and get Walter Clayton Jr. Because we've heard rumblings that the Mavs really like Walter Clayton Jr. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
It's just tough to figure out. It's tough to figure out what they could trade to get back into the draft. Like, I mean, maybe the Nets love Omax Prosper. I don't think we could get ahead of Miami, though. I don't think they would give up a top 20 pick to take a flyer on Omax. And I actually think I like Omax more than maybe some people do. Like, I think he finished the season hurt, which just really sucks for his development. But I thought he showed more flashes than maybe people remember in his limited time. I'm not trying to sell Omax to different NBA teams, but I actually genuinely think he's better than what his trade value might be.
I'm with you. I've always been a big Omax fan, and DJ and I have talked to people who are adamantly against Omax and think he's cooked as a prospect at this point, which I think is ridiculous. But I think it's a case of Omax has potential, and he could be a lot better than what he's been, but he also doesn't have the opportunity to play the minutes necessary to get to that point. So that could be if you're the Mavs, that could be your selling point to another team. It's like, look, this guy's pretty good. He's got good potential. We just, given our roster, our front court situation, we just don't have minutes to give this guy. So, if you send him to a place like Brooklyn, he may have more space to grow and become a better player there than what he ever could in Dallas.
Yeah, I mean, it's just – go ahead.
Okay. So let me ask you this, and this kind of comes out of left field, but not really because we just spoke about, PJ's contract issue. If we were to send him to Brooklyn, what would they have to match? Like, what would they have that could possibly match his salary?
I think they still have a little bit of cap space, right? Or did that all go away with the Terrence Mann acquisition?
Let me see. We've got some time to kill here. Let me do some Googling.
Because my thing is, you could send him and Omax to Brooklyn and maybe get a higher pick and maybe some future draft capital of some sort.
Okay, so I don't know if it's changed, but apparently they're projected to have a significant amount of cap space. It says potentially exceeding 50 million, and it could reach up to 90 million.
Wow.
Now I don't know. That's an extreme. I doubt that's going to happen. But still, I mean, you'd think. Let me look at their roster. PJ makes like 18 million a year, doesn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Let's see.
Apparently, the Mavericks got Dirk Nowitzki to record a welcome video for Cooper Flag that was played.
Hey, there we go.
Draft event. So that's
Everybody's been worried about Dirk still being pissed at the Mavs. He's acknowledging it now. Let's see.
That is huge.
That's what we needed to see. I don't know if that means he's fully back, but
I don't know if he's ever going to be as fully involved with the Mavs as we want. Maybe not even necessarily do with the Nico stuff, but he's also going to be like a national NBA analyst with Amazon going forward. So knowing Dirk, he's not going to be like a massive homer with the Mavs anyway. Like he's going to tell it how it is, I would think.
And I would hope, honestly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think Dirk is going to be like that. I mean, I think everyone knows that he's got a affinity for the Mavericks, but I think Dirk has always been pretty candid in his analysis. I just remember that one time where Karl Anthony Towns had called himself the best big man shooter in NBA history, and I think they asked him about it on the broadcast, and he was like, "No, I don't think so."
All right, guys, I was way off. I think when PJ initially signed the contract he's on, he was averaging $18 million a year, but I think it was a descending contract. So for this coming season, he's going to be making $14.1 million.
Wow.
And
wow.
Thank you, Charlotte. Good job, Charlotte.
Yeah, Cam Johnson is the closest player I can see that would, it would work, but he makes $21 million. So the Mavs are adding $7 million to their books, which, it could work because Kyrie just took the haircut to give you that space to do it. But if you do that, you can't use that taxpayer MLE either. So I don't know.
The Mavs have 14, or they have one roster spot open basically, like before free agency, right? Like they have 14 players currently on the team.
Right.
So in theory, they could take back 2 players for one. If it
Well, and I mean, the thing about the Nets having the cap space, well, I guess that's not necessarily how that works. Hold on. Mavs would be taking on $6.9 million, which I think would keep them barely under that second apron. I think that's what it was.
Atlanta has a $25 million trade exception, I believe. I don't know if they would be a PJ Washington destination. I also don't know what pick they have. They have 13th. I don't know if they'd be willing to trade that pick or not. That's a bit of a stretch.
I doubt it.
I do wonder if the Nets would do that trade because they're saving $7 million swapping Cam Johnson for PJ. Because Cam Johnson, he's making $21 million this year, and then the season after this upcoming one, he's making $22.5 million the next. I'm wondering if they would do that trade, and since they have $1 billion first-round picks, give that number 19, and then you're swapping one player for one, and then you can fill that other roster spot that's open with whoever you pick at 19.
Yep.
Yeah.
We need CBA Mavs on here so he can fact check us in real time about all this stuff.
Yeah, I miss the old NBA when you didn't have to be an accountant to do fake trades.
It's so
Me
bad.
too. I feel like I used to know the CBA and the cap pretty well when I was younger, but after they've renegotiated the CBAs, they got all these aprons now. It's just so difficult to keep up with it. I've just kind of given up now.
I will say this, the way the new CBA has been constructed, I think it has definitely improved parity in the NBA. Because what was this year? It was like the 7th straight year it was a different champion.
Yeah, for the first time in NBA history.
Yeah, so the parity is definitely there, and you're seeing, these teams that should be competing for a long, long time are dismembering their teams because of, the tax related issues.
Or
The
you just
Celtics-
dismember your team because you don't like your best player.
Yeah, because you have personal beef with a certain player that may or may not enjoy himself during the season, even though he is allowed to do that because he's a great player. So
I do agree with what you're saying about the apron stuff, but I am curious how Oklahoma City handles it, because I actually think they're gonna be a staying power for a while, even though all these apron rules, just because of their draft picks and Sam
Yeah,
Presti really just kind of managing it. I still think like the right GM in the right situation, it might be Oklahoma City can still dominate in this era.
if there's a team that can find a way out of it, it's going to be them because, like you said, they own all the picks. Like, some of these guys are going to have to end up paying these next couple of years, even if they can't pay them. They could just trade them to another team and get even more picks. And, they have a pretty good track record. And even if you didn't have a great track record, the more picks you have, the more chances you have of hitting on guys. So, you can – I could definitely see them being staying power for next several years. But I will say this: that would be the one thing I would tell the Mavs is like, hey, keep PJ Washington because he hates that franchise, and I don't care. Even without Luka last year, the Mavs beat the Thunder 3 times because PJ Washington is just amazing. So. And one of those times was I don't think they had Luka or Kyrie. So,
Yeah.
If there's-
My thing is just that like they have too much of a logjam in the front court, and you got AD, Gafford, Lively, PJ. There's a good chance that 2 of those 4 guys are not on the floor in crunch time when you're trying to close a game, and it's just like you have so much money committed to that position group. It's just not a good way to build a team. But at the same time, that might just be the way that they have to go into the season because there's no guarantee there's going to be like a great deal that presents itself between now and then.
Yeah. I don't know. We got glimpses of what PJ at the 3 looks like this past season. I mean, I think we can all agree that the 4 is his best spot. So
yeah,
if AD is not going to play the 5, like what are we really doing?
I just have major concerns about PJ playing the 3, not because Cooper would play the 2, but just because I don't think PJ is the player in this day and age that you need in the 3. I just think he's not the playmaker, not the shot creator that teams typically need out of their 3, and it just would kind of be a disaster for them. But we do see it all the time that teams have imperfect rosters and they have a lot of players at one position. So again, wouldn't surprise me if that's how the Mavericks proceed and go into the season with.
Let's see here. I got a notification. I was hoping. Oh, have y'all seen that? I don't even know how to say his name. That Ari guy on.
Oh boy,
dude. Look, I don't want to. I don't want to like get too ahead of myself, but I think the guy's actually getting good info from somewhere.
I think the only thing he's really gotten right was the Kyrie Irving thing, which I don't know how he got that. But
he said KD was going to the Minnesota Timberwolves like 5 minutes before Sham said he's going to the Rockets.
Okay. Look at
I'm thinking one of these off seasons I might make a burner insider account and see if I can beat people. I feel like it's not that hard.
You probably can because people are just looking for that dopamine hit every time or every year around this time of year. But
what I've noticed is that these accounts like NBA Central and Legion Hoops, and a lot of times they'll just go with anything. They don't even. It's like, oh well, this guy's not really known for sources. So, okay, well we're gonna just run it anyway.
Yeah.
We'll get that engagement. Get those Elon.
What was the Ari report that you were referring to though?
The one that first he got the Kyrie thing right.
He did.
And then so I was thinking, because I'd never heard of the guy, but I saw that and I was like, oh, okay. And then today he said that the Mavs were shopping Omax and Jaden Hardy, to potentially get a late first round pick. So I was like, okay, well if that happens.
To be
the
a
Hornets
condescending
is selecting
prick.
Con Knipple at number 4.
Yeah,
That's a good
I'm watching Dalton's live stream. Thanks.
Oh shit. Okay, I didn't. My TV's behind.
I guess to be a condescending prick to that report, like who else would the Mavericks trade besides Omax and Hardy?
Yeah, see, that's the thing. That's the kind of thing I feel like it's logical to assume that they'd be looking to move those guys.
Drew brought up packaging PJ. I would trade PJ for a pick only if it was high enough. Like none of the Nets picks, like 8 wherever they're picking, besides their top 10 pick. No, PJ's too good for that. And I don't know what lottery team is going to trade for PJ. What'd you say?
What if we got multiple though?
Multiple? Man,
I'm gonna be
I
honest.
like some of the players in this range, but it's just like I think PJ is, like you were alluding to, like maybe not the best fit with the Mavericks, but on a different fit with the Mavericks and as a trade value piece. I just think he's very valuable for playoff basketball as a versatile forward. And I don't think we would be getting enough, even if it was multiple like after lottery picks. But
let me ask you guys this question. Would you guys trade Derek Lively for a chance to get into the lottery today?
No.
Kick rocks. I'm probably too optimistic on Derek Lively, but like centers that have a feel for the game like him at that age and being able to anchor a playoff defense that literally went to the finals, I don't think they grow on trees. Even though people like to seem like centers grow on trees.
It depends on who is available. Who is going to be. There was I don't know, like what. Like go ahead. Like look at the Washington Wizards, for example, like at 6, like would they consider doing that, or do they like Trey Johnson or whoever's going to be there for them to pick, or if they're Malachi, I think that
Malawach. Well, apparently a lot of these teams love Malawach. Isn't like your high upside expectation for Malawach to turn into what Derek Lively has turned into? I know he had like a roughish sophomore year, but that's kind of what people are hoping that Malawach turns into, and he's about to be probably the 5th or one of these picks he's going to get taken here.
The issue with Malawach, though, is he doesn't have the athleticism that Lively does.
Agree. I think Lively's – yeah, I agree.
So,
see, the thing, if the Mavs could somehow get high enough in this lottery, which we're already 4 picks in, but if they could somehow get high enough to get, Trey Johnson or even Ace Bailey with all the controversy around him, I think that's just him getting bad advice from his camp. He's still going to be, a good player if he's in the right situation.
He's trying to get to a spot where he can get his shots up. That's probably Dallas is probably the last spot for that for him.
But see, I don't know how much of that is him and how much of that is his representation, because I've seen it so many times with players who get told certain things, and look, these guys are teenagers. They trust these people telling them what to do, and then it just puts them in a horrible situation. Like I saw that Ace Bailey's agent was like trying to get paid to do TV interviews, and it's just like, dude, these companies are helping.
Is that true? I didn't see that.
Yeah, these TV stations, they're giving you and your guy exposure, and you're asking to be paid for these appearances. Like, who are you?
That's funny.
What's with Con Knoople's family's obsession with the letter K?
Oh boy.
There's a joke to be made there, but
I was thinking the same thing Dalton is. I was thinking the same thing Dalton is.
It's all right there.
We're not going to make that joke.
It's all right there. Duke, everything.
Oh hell.
That's funny.
I feel like the Jazz should get more slander for having the most half-assed tank job since they traded Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert.
Oh, Danny
I don't
Ainge
know
is
if they're
100% washed.
I don't know if they're gonna draft a player as good as Donovan Mitchell. Maybe they get looking at like the first pick next year, but they haven't gotten like we got the first pick this year. They haven't gotten anything close to that since they started tanking.
It would be so funny if that rumor comes true and they trade for Jaylen Brown. And it's
Hey,
like you have
Vinay, getting-
Jaylen Brown and Lauri Markkanen as your headliners in Utah.
That's hilarious. Vinay, getting Austin Ainge is like getting the number 1 pick, bro.
I feel like
the Bronny James of general managers.
I feel like the trajectory that the Jazz are currently on with Danny Ainge in charge would kind of be what the Mavs would, which I mean, obviously, their things did not go well in February, but I'm just overall, I think we'd probably be more on a Jazz trajectory if, Donnie Nelson was still in charge.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine how things would have gone.
Because he was, I mean, let's be honest, I love Donnie. He was a great guy. He was always nice to us, but, he was, you can tell when guys are just a little bit past their prime and kind of out of touch and everything. And that
You felt like he didn't care anymore. Like obviously he cared, but it almost felt like he didn't care anymore after.
Yeah, and I mean you do something for 2 decades. That's a natural.
Exactly.
That and I wonder how much he got let down by not being able to take Giannis that 1 year. Like Donnie has an eye for international talent. He saw what Giannis might have been able to be before that, and the Mavs turned it down to make some money.
Ended up with Shane Larkin instead of Giannis.
Wow, the Jazz are making a pick here. That's kind of shocking.
Really?
Yeah, I won't spoil it, but let's just say this guy did not want to go here.
I want to see the reaction of the player.
Man, he did not want to go to Utah.
No chance.
I don't think anyone wants to go there.
I think he wanted to go to the Wizards.
I guess Utah is beating the allegations.
Hey, dude, Dalton, we should have placed that bet. We could have doubled our money, man.
I wonder if he even worked out for them, because I saw today that he worked out for Washington, but
I respect the Jazz if he didn't work out for them and they think he's the best player on the board and they took him anyway. I respect that.
Yeah, me and DJ saw a prop bet before we hopped on here, and it was like, I don't know what the odds were, but it said that Ace Bailey only had like a 48% chance to go in the top 5. Could have made $208 on a $100 bet, DJ.
Man, bet the house. Could have had 2 houses.
I thought he might have had like a Cam Whitmore type slide in this draft, but clearly not. It's too good for it, I think.
He is good, but he cannot dribble at all.
He would have gone 3rd, no doubt, if it wasn't for his measurements being way off, in my opinion.
Yeah, they listed him at 6'10" all year.
Right.
At 6'10" all year. Now he's 6'7.5".
Yeah, that's a pretty big difference.
Yeah, I don't know how that happens.
I saw a tweet earlier today. Some idiot was saying that we should just trade back in the draft and draft Ace Bailey because he's going to be Kevin Durant. And I was like, listen, guys, 6'7" Kevin Durant is not Kevin Durant.
That's Joe Johnson.
Yeah.
If he's lucky.
Yeah.
Look, I would, and I mean, they're obviously different players. I would say Cooper Flagg is much closer to that than anybody else in this draft.
Every Kevin Durant comparison they've made in the draft since Kevin Durant's come out has not come close to Kevin Durant.
The thing with KD is like he's one of those guys where there's certain guys in college that you watch play and it's just like you automatically know they're going to be studs, and that's how it was with Kevin Durant. Like I was still in were we in high school then, DJ?
We
were very old.
So you were that grade above me. I would have been in 8th grade. No, we were we
We're
were
middle schoolers.
yeah, we were
Even-
because that was the Greg Oden draft.
Yeah, even then though, like, we watched a ton of basketball, and you watch his shot making, it was just like, okay, yeah, he's going to be very good. He's dominating at this level.
He's like 6'10" Kobe. Like, it was crazy.
And that's how I feel about Cooper Flagg too, because he
Yeah.
was just unbelievable at Duke.
No, I think Cooper Flagg, and we may have some issues here, but I think that Cooper Flagg is a top 3 prospect in the past 25 years. I think he's probably the 3rd best prospect in the past 25 years.
So that's like
I believe
behind
that.
LeBron and Wemby.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't hit that. College Zion, I mean, I know it hasn't worked out as well as it should have in the pros, but College Zion was as crazy of an athlete as you'll ever find. And then the other one I would think about would be Luka, but he didn't even go first his drafts, and I guess the NBA just didn't see it like that.
Yeah, I thought Luka was a very underrated prospect.
Oh, I did too. I was whenever that draft was about to happen, we talked at length, me and Dalton did, and I said we need to pick Luka. Like, Luka would be my number 1 pick in that draft. And the rest is history. But the Zion comparison, I think that Zion is a 99th percentile athlete. I think he is more athletic than 99.9% of the rest of the world. The combination of speed, strength, agility, and of course the bounce is insane. But he doesn't have the skill, he doesn't have the IQ, and he doesn't have the durability, and he doesn't have the shot making either.
Yeah.
And because of that, he's also only 6'5". So I think that combination, it doesn't. I think that Luka's upside is much higher, and I think even a basketball player, I think Luka's floor is much higher as well.
I know.
Way Zion's athleticism. What do you have?
I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but I mean, I'm just branching off it. But I mean, even with all those issues you named, if Zion can just stay healthy, like, that makes up for so much of it, because he is just a bull in a china shop. He's
a monster. He's a monster.
Unbelievable.
But let's fast forward a little bit to whenever he's about 35 years old, and the legs ain't there, and the strength ain't there. Everything hurts. I think that Cooper Flagg is better down the road than Zion is.
I think Zion is like a running back. That's like who he is in the NBA. And when you look at like what makes prospects NBA stars, I think it's their ability to create offense, create shots. And for as good as Zion was as a prospect, I don't think he ever really had that in his game. He's like he's a play finisher, as they like to say, as opposed to an initiator. And I think Cooper Flagg, while he still has some questions as to how good of an offensive player he can be, I think he has all the tools and has shown flashes of doing that. And that's the difference between the two of them.
I think Zion can be an offensive engine still, but I agree with a lot of those points.
I love all the reports that we've seen, from the combine, from that workout that he apparently did, with the Mavs when he came to Dallas ahead of the draft, talking about how his shot was a lot better than advertised. And that's really encouraging to hear. And look, I think he's an underrated playmaker too. I've seen, you saw how he threw lobs while he was at Duke. I'm super excited to see how that, translates to Derek Lively, Daniel Gafford, assuming there's no trades that go on with those guys, and even Anthony Davis. Like, that was one thing that was even before the Luka trade last year. You could tell that teams had taken away the Mavs lobs, which was such a big factor in them getting to the finals last year, or the year before last. So, I'm excited to see that part of his game, probably more than anything, because we know he's going to be a hard-nosed defender. We know he's going to have the ability to put the ball in the basket, even though there's some questions about, how efficient he'll be with his shot. But I'm really looking forward to the distribution part of it, him getting other guys involved, because I think that's one of the most underrated parts of his game, especially for a guy his size. Like, I think – and look, for a team that has such a hole at the point guard position right now, he's going to have a chance to shine in that role. And, I hope he hits the ground running because that would be awesome. Point Cooper to start the year.
I think he can do it. I mean, yeah, like you were talking about Dalton. Like I was watching some highlights of his from the tournament game against Arizona, and he had those 2 lobs to Malawach, and in my head, I was just imagining Derek Lively. I was like, that's money for them next season. It's going to be so easy to run that play multiple times over the course of a game, and I think, I think I like Jason Kidd's idea of playing him at the 2. Because you just throw him into the fire immediately, have him develop his playmaking, and I feel like you're not going to be sacrificing wins by doing that either, because he already has so much talent. When it comes to being a facilitator, it's just about giving him more usage and believing in him and giving him confidence.
People get up in arms about, comments like that. And, Cooper isn't a 2. He doesn't mean to play. Well, I mean, obviously. I mean, he's, that's not his natural position, but he's a versatile guy. I think you can plug him in a lot of different places. And again, when you're a team that has such a deficiency in one area, like the Mavs do at the point guard position and really shooting in general, why not try out something different? And then if it doesn't work, you try it for, maybe 3 or 4 games or something. If it's just disastrous, then you go to something else. But I don't see the harm in trying something like that.
And I mean, I think in terms of his player
What
development,
is he wearing?
Are we talking about Trey Johnson? Oh,
What are those?
Capris going? Suit capris?
Crazy.
Yeah.
Trey Young was the one who started that trend.
Shout out to my guy Matt Galatson, by the way. He's gotten completely out of NBA coverage altogether, and he's full-blown Texas Longhorns, and he's been telling me for a while that Trey Johnson was going to be a stud. And I believe it after watching him a few times. Like, he's going to be very good.
Yep.
Now, he's got to get over the going to Washington part of things because that tends to drain prospects of what they could be. But I do think he's going to be very good.
Who did they just trade for the other day? CJ McCollum. That was the weirdest trade I've seen in a while.
I tweeted about that at the time.
Starting 5 of like wash players.
That was like one of those auto-generated trades that like you're not a part of that the other teams just make. That was crazy.
Yeah. I didn't even know Kelly Olynyk was on the Pelicans.
Look, guys, I think we're gonna call it wraps for now. We've been going for over an hour now, and I don't know. I think when we get off here, I'm sure that the Mavs will make some big trade, and we may have to come back and recap it at another time. But I think we're going to go ahead and call it wraps here. We came and we saw what we needed to see, and we've given a recap of or preview rather of what Cooper Flag could be. So I think that's where we're going to end this thing. But Jay, Vinay, I think Vinay is
his connection may be down.
His connection probably went out. But anyway, Jay, appreciate it. Appreciate you joining me. Appreciate Vinay too. And if the people watching this, I mean, if you haven't already, I'm sure we share some of the same followers and subscribers and all that stuff. But be sure to go check out Mavs Film Room. Just like us, they also have a Substack, and you can get that link from their Twitter page, and be sure to go follow them on social media as well. But Jay, we really appreciate it, man. It's been a fun night. We got to do it again sometime. We'll definitely have to do it.
We will
sometime before the season starts for sure.
Definitely, man. This was fun. This is great getting to talk with you guys, and hope to do it again real soon.
Yes, sir. Let's get ready for the Cooper Flag era.
Yes, sir. All right. Thanks, guys.
We'll see you.